Bienvenue à Coffee Break French.
Welcome to the Coffee Break French Show. Moi, c'est Max et aujourd'hui, je suis avec
Pierre Benoît.
Avec Pierre Benoît. Comment vas-tu?
Super bien, super content d'être ici, Max.
Et moi aussi, je suis content. And this is your first time in the Coffee Break French Show, isn't it?
It is indeed. It's my first time in this show, yeah.
Eh bien, bienvenue.
C'est gentil.
And what happens in the Coffee Break French Show?
Well, in our weekly episode, we strive to help you learn and improve your French one coffee break at a time.
Excellent. So remember to subscribe to the podcast feed wherever you get your podcast. Or if you're watching the video version, remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Alors, de quoi parle-t-on aujourd'hui?
What are we talking about today? We're talking about the little words like au, du, des, les.
Okay, those can be very tricky when you're learning French, indeed.
Indeed.
But hopefully it will be clearer after the episode.
Of course it will be.
Ok, super. Bon, on y va?
C'est parti.
Allez. So when we're talking about these little tricky words like au, du, des, they all have in common the definite article, the.
Exactement, okay? In French, we have 4 forms of the,
Right?
right? So we've got the masculine, the feminine, we've got the plural, and also one just before a word starting with a vowel or an H.
Okay, let's start with the masculine singular.
Le,
Le, okay, L-E.
Yep.
Super. What about feminine singular?
that would be la.
Okay, L-A.
Mm.
If it's plural?
That's the one I like because you need to watch. Don't say the S, it's le.
Le.
Yeah, it's spelled L-E-S, but you
L-E.
don't say the S. Le.
And it doesn't matter if it's masculine or feminine.
No, it doesn't
Cool.
matter at all.
Okay. How about the final one?
Oh, the last one, the final one, that's L apostrophe.
And when would we use it?
You would use it in, before a singular noun,
Mhm.
and that would be starting with a vowel.
Like l'université?
Yeah, the university, yeah. Or in front of a silent H.
Like l'homme?
L'homme, the man, or l'heure.
The time, the hour?
très bien.
Okay, super. Parfait. So those are the 4 we are going to need to know. So what happens if you put the before one of the variation?
But then we've got what you call a contraction.
So for example, de and le.
So that would become du. Now watch the pronunciation. Du. Du.
And it's spelled D-U, du. So de and le merge into a new word.
Yeah.
And you cannot have them together.
Très bien. And that's
Okay.
for the masculine. Yeah.
Super. What about de la?
It just remains de la. So
De
that's
la,
a good
no
one.
change.
C'est
Okay, that's
super
easy.
bien. Yeah.
Super. De les?
And you can't have de lait. It's got to be de.
De.
Yeah. Spelled D-E-S.
Okay, super. So we have the ending of les that's kept in de.
Mhm.
De l,
Well, yes, that becomes de le. It's just the same.
it doesn't change.
It doesn't change.
Super.
So you've got 2 changes and then 2 that don't change.
Okay, so when you have de followed by the, le, la, les, etc., can translate to of the or from the. But it's also what we call the partitive article that translates in English to some.
Yeah. And you can
Okay.
use that with a lot of items of food, for example.
Ah ouais, tu as un exemple?
Du pain.
Du pain. So le pain is masculine singular, so it becomes du. Some bread. Du pain.
Très bien. If we have a feminine one, de la confiture.
Okay, so as we said earlier, de la doesn't change.
No.
De la confiture. What
For me-
about les fruits?
Alors, if you like fruit and you want some fruit, that would be des fruits.
Des fruits.
Yeah. Remember, in French, it's a plural, fruits.
D-E-S. Super. And alcohol?
Oui, ce serait de l'alcool. Starts with a vowel, so de l'alcool.
De l'alcool. Singular starts with a vowel. Excellent. Super. So this was for nouns with the partitive article,
Yeah.
some. There's another situation where de can merge with the following definite article. It's with some verbs that require the preposition de.
Okay, can you give us an example,
Bien
Max,
sûr,
please?
Pierre Benoît. Par exemple, avoir besoin de.
Okay, so that's to have the need of. So I can see why
Exactly.
we need to use the article there. So to need.
To need, if it's followed by le or la or les, etc., it's subject to change.
Okay.
For example, how would you say, I need the phone?
J'ai besoin. Now we're talking about the phone, so it's le téléphone, but because we've got de before, it becomes du. Donc j'ai besoin du téléphone. And
J'ai
that's spelled
besoin
du.
du téléphone. I have the need of the phone.
Yeah.
Super. Now, there's many verbs that require the preposition de. For example, parler de. to
Oh.
talk about something.
Yeah, there's a lovely expression in French, parler de la pluie et du beau temps. And it's lovely because you've got your de la, you've got your feminine, and you've got du beau temps. Donc,
Parler de la pluie et du beau temps. So to talk about the rain and the good weather.
yeah, it's just to talk like just to chit chat, just to have a wee casual
Exact.
chat.
And as you just said, la pluie, so de la doesn't change. And du beau temps, le beau temps, we have the contraction.
Yeah, du. Super.
Excellent. Also works with something plural, of course. So how would you say we're talking about the holiday?
Nous parlons des vacances.
Des vacances.
That's DES because vacances is plural.
Is always plural in French. Super, excellent. Un autre verbe, another verb, an interesting one, which is penser de.
Ooh, to think of something.
Exactly, about opinions. So penser de, for example, a little challenge. How would you say, what do you think of the movie?
Qu'est-ce que tu penses du film?
Ouais, super. Vous pouvez essayer aussi. How would you say, give us a second to think, what do you think of the story? Pierre Benoit?
Well, it's l'histoire, right?
Oui.
But it starts with an H, right? And that's a silent H. So, qu'est-ce que tu penses de l'histoire? That's where you've got your de and the L apostrophe there.
Excellent. Qu'est-ce que
Merci.
tu penses de l'histoire? So that's it for du, des, de la.
Super. There's another tricky situation when we don't use de, but a.
Oui?
So, for example, if you had a plus le, is that possible?
No, it's not. It would become O. O spelled A-U.
Très bien. So, with a masculine word, that would be o.
Oui.
Wow, what would happen if it was a feminine word?
So following the same pattern, there is no change. It would be a la.
Très bien. So, from what we saw earlier, we can guess maybe it would be the plural then. So, we can't have a le, can we?
You cannot. It would become O, but spelled A-U-X.
So, it's the same pronunciation as the singular one.
Exactly.
Okay, O and O. Super. Okay. And what would happen before a word starting with a silent H or a vowel?
Nothing would happen. It stays the same. A, L apostrophe.
Okay, so we've got two that don't change and two that change. Exactly the same as what we had with de.
And there are many verbs that need the preposition a straight after.
Yes.
Par exemple, aller à.
Okay, Max. So just to kind of remind our viewers, how would you say, I'm going to the cinema?
Je vais au cinéma. Je vais à le cinéma,
Okay.
merging a and le into o.
Okay. Makes
About
sense.
I'm going to the swimming pool.
Je vais à la piscine, because piscine is a feminine word.
No
So,
change.
No change, yeah.
Super.
Mhm.
Now we mentioned penser de earlier, to think of, to have an opinion.
Yeah.
You could also have a after penser.
Okay.
And
yeah.
penser à means to be thinking about something. So I have a little challenge for our viewers. How would you say, I'm thinking about the movies we watched together? That's a tricky one. Pierre Benoit, how would you say it?
Well, if it's movies, it's plural, so it's les films, but you can't have à les films, so it has to be au.
Ouais.
Ok, donc je pense au film, EUX, que nous avons vu ensemble.
Parfait. AUX, que nous avons vu ensemble. Now I have a little side question for you, Pierre Benoit. What is the spelling of vu?
Oh, question piège. VUS.
VUS indeed. So that's an agreement, but that's for a future video of the season 2. So stay tuned. For now, let's continue with today's topic. And we've seen that de le becomes du, à le becomes au, etc. Le always means the in this context.
Yeah.
So it brings us to an exception.
Ah, there are always exceptions, aren't there?
Because we tend to think de and le are never together, but they can be.
Yeah.
When?
When you're not actually using an article, but using a pronoun.
Oui, le pronom le.
Très, très bien. So that would be different because then there would be no contraction at all.
Yes. So, for example, if you say, I need to contact him.
J'ai besoin de, but then I need to have le, okay, because we're talking about him, and then contacter. So you can't, you actually can have the de le together.
Exactly. So that means you can see de le sometimes. Yeah. Super. How about I'm afraid to disturb them?
Oh. J'ai peur de, and then de les déranger. So again, here we can see de and les together. There's no contraction.
Okay, so we can have de le, we can have de les. Another example with a.
pense à le rappeler.
Pense à le rappeler.
Which means?
Think about calling him back.
Très bien.
Super. So a and le also fine together if le is a direct object pronoun.
Exactly. It's not an article anymore. It's a pronoun.
So what we've learned in this video is how to combine de or a with the definite articles, le, la, les. And we cannot have de le or à le, becomes du or au.
Très bien. Except you can have it if you're not using the article, but a direct object pronoun.
And then you can have de le, de les, à le, or à les.
Super.
Okay, so we can wrap things up.
Of course we can.
We hope you enjoyed this lesson. If you want to see all the examples mentioned, as well as all the information written down, there is a blog post. You will find the link in the description.
Super. And if you'd like more help with your French, and if you'd like to receive regular free email lessons, just visit coffeebreaklanguages.com/French.
Exactly. So look out for our next mini lesson in your inbox. Super. Merci beaucoup, Pierre-Benoît.
Merci à toi, Max.
Et à bientôt.
Happy coffee breaking.
You have been listening to a Coffee Break Languages production for the Radiolingua Network. Copyright 2024 Radiolingua Limited. Recording copyright 2024 Radiolingua Limited. All rights reserved.